for the relative cost of employing someone offshore, the productivity is equal to what, and probably exceeds what we would get from a domestic Australian employee. Arrow College is a registered training organisation which is registered in South Australia. We deliver predominantly apprenticeships and traineeships in the workplace under a funding arrangement, under a subsidy in South Australia, but we also deliver diploma and certificate 4-level courses nationally. We focus on the AHC training package, which is agricultural, horticulture, conservation, land management, and our part within that is that we specialise in horticulture, landscape construction, sports turf management, production horticulture, and conservation ecosystem management. So we have qualifications ranging from Certificate 2 to Diploma in most of those vocations. I've been involved with Arteca since about 2017. I've been on the Queensland, New South Wales and now the South Australian State Committee for Arteca. So I've been across a few states and have been on national committees for now 6 years. The reason I do it is to be able to participate in the conversation around vocational training in this country. The Arteca provides the opportunity to, in the right forum, to get in front of the decision makers at the state and national level, and to have some influence over the way that they're potentially thinking. But it's also a way of putting back to the industry. Being involved with the peak body is an opportunity from a professional standpoint to put back into the industry, which has given me the career that I've had. So the reason that we came to PeoplePartners was to assist us with taking our face-to-face product online. We bought the RTO about 2.5 years ago. We had and the core reasons for us, or for me professionally, to buy it was that I wanted to explore how to best deliver quality education into the regions. Arrow had a well-established infrastructure of trainers and vehicles, but it was missing some fundamental aspects of running a business. It was poorly managed, and for us it was an opportunity to take, in some ways, what was the worst house on the best street, and our business goal was to turn that into the best house on the best street. What we're doing now is we have a 7 to 8 year plan, first part of which was to get the RTO re-registered, which we achieved, and we're registered for 7 years up until 2030. So between now and then, the goal is to build the business and then to have some options for ourselves, and then after 7 years, what we might like to do with the RTO. When we purchased the RTO, the obvious direction that we thought we might take would be to provide an online offering which is predominantly our Certificate 3 level students, but our traineeships and apprenticeships, the Certificate 3 level, make up about 3/4 of our students. And we soon realised once we operate in the RTO for a little while that the digital capacity and digital literacy of most of our students, plus their socio-economic background, suggested they probably weren't going to be as accommodating to online delivery, and that we need to continue with the paper-based workbook style on-site workshops that we're currently doing. We of course want to go and offer our courses at the higher level, the Cert 4 and Diploma level nationally, and so we're in the process of building out our online piece, and it was at that point that we realised that the cost of a high quality course developer with some e-learning development skills was going to be quite an expensive undertaking. Potentially people looking at being paid far more than trainers were going to be paid in Australia. But it's also the kind of job that doesn't have to be done in a workplace. It's a job that lends itself to remote work. So after a few conversations with the team from PeoplePartners, we decided that we would have a look at whether they could find someone that had an RTO background and experience in developing vocational nationally accredited units of competency. And that's why we have found ourselves with PeoplePartners and continue to this day. I was a little bit dubious from, Anthony saying that absolutely we'll be able to find someone for you that meets your needs, and was vitally impressed by the quality of the candidates that we saw, and happy to be wrong on this occasion and happy to continue. We came across PeoplePartners at a number of ITECA events, and I got talking to Anthony and Ruben about what they offer. For me, being an RTO person, I took a lot of comfort in understanding the background of PeoplePartners and what the genesis was of this business, and having its foundations as an RTO under duress. To launch the business, for me, as an RTO operator, meant that I was going to be liaising and doing business with people who understood the landscape into which we were already playing. So that was perhaps for me the reason to give it a go. I think that there's been some benefits along the way, some quick wins, obviously, in terms of cost and productivity. For the relative cost of employing someone offshore, the productivity is equal to what, and probably exceeds what we would get from a domestic Australian employee. I think that one of the benefits is also it gives us a workforce that it's a little bit more culturally expansive than it would otherwise already be, and the opportunities that come with understanding the various employment laws in the Philippines, which certainly broadens one's perception of how you do things in your workplace, and understanding how there are different nuances around holidays and that aspect. I think that for me that was enjoyable to understand how things work overseas, and also causes you to look more closely at the way that we do things here in Australia and maybe some of those practices. I don't think the 13th month bonus at the end of the year is something that we're necessarily going to swallow on top of the usual 30% of on costs that you get. But I think that there's absolute value for money in terms of the quality of the candidate that PeoplePartners are able to provide to us. He's turned out to be the most excellent employee here, having worked with 2 or 3 RTOs previously in Australia, having lived in Australia, having a qualification from TAFE in graphic design, and then also working himself on some work for some course developers who develop off-the-shelf content in Australia, meant that he came to us absolutely understanding exactly what was required from vet training. I think that being the business, the type of RTO that we are at, we're in a one-to-one workplace space type model, that there's probably less of an instance for us to use the services provided by PeoplePartners. But I think where there is a role where it doesn't require someone to be on location at our office in South Australia, then those are the kinds of roles that we definitely think that we could look to use PeoplePartners for into the future. I think that in a globalized workplace, I suspect, that we live in at the moment, that if you're not looking offshore, you're doing yourself a disservice. I think that you need to make a decision about what's best for your business. Then you need to look at all the talent that is available in the market, and I think there are some obvious advantages in time zone, understanding of the English language, and culturally with clients or with staff that work in the Philippines or in South Africa. So there's an advantage to that. I think that people should look at it objectively. It may not be for everyone, but I think some of the misconceptions about it are probably untrue. I think that the onboarding process was clear. It took a lot of the hassle out of it, saved us a lot of time in terms of canvassing clients and the communications that went around that. It was great the way that the details of the candidates were provided to us before each interview. It was great that there was a moderator at each interview to make sure that the technological piece was happening smoothly. And so for us, we found the whole whole piece relatively smooth, smoother than it would have been had I arranged it, that's for sure. So it was a good experience, and we're looking forward to continuing our relationship with Ryan and People Partners moving forward.